So Vijay, good to be in the space with you, and send much love to Manolo dos Santos, one of my comrades, who I know you hang out with every once in a while. Vijay Prashad is an Indian historian and journalist, author of 40 books. He's executive director of the Tricontinental Institute for Social Research and chief correspondent for Globetrotter. He's also chief editor of Leftward Books India and is a senior non-resident fellow at Chongyang Institute for Financial Studies, Renmin University of China. Vijay will speak on the following thesis that he sent us, and it is, quote, in a pandemic, a rational person would much rather live in a society governed by the norms of socialism than of capitalism, a society where people rally together to overcome a virus, a society where fear pervades and where stigmatization becomes the antidote to collective action cannot be the norm. Brother Vijay, it's been a while since I saw you in the fields of Connecticut, but you're always on the move. Go ahead, my brother.
Okay, nice to be with you, Rob. Congratulations on the book, Edgar. Nice to see you again. Rupa, that's a terrific book, Inflamed. Raj gave that to me in South Africa, and I started reading it on a very long plane flight, so I appreciate it a lot. I don't know what to talk about because I'm neither an epidemiologist nor a doctor, and Rob, you basically sandwiched me with really intelligent people. So I'm going to just talk about things I know, okay? I'm writing a book about Teofilo Stevenson, who was perhaps the world's best boxer ever. A Cuban boxer, revolutionary. Teofilo refused to go professional, which is why Muhammad Ali was too scared to fight him. He didn't want to lose to a Cuban amateur. The reason I'm starting here is because, I've been spending a lot of time in Cuba. I was there last week for an extended period. I've been trying to understand how Cuba developed its healthcare system. And I was really interested. I visited the Ministry of Sports in there, and I talked to people at the sports ministry, and they said, one of the reasons in 1961 we abolished professional sports in Cuba is because we don't see sports in a commodified way. We see sport as part of healthcare. We think sports is a very important place alongside dance, music, and so on to enhance the health of the Cuban people. I'd never thought about that because, in a sense, wherever you live in the world outside Cuba, sports is a deeply commodified activity, and I can say that as a former boxer. I know that the pressure of going into a professional fight is enormous. There's a lot of money involved there, inclusive of dance and music and so on. But if everything is for the betterment of humanity and not for the commodity form, it changes the way you can understand something. So they said, this is about healthcare. Well, I visited the place where the 5 vaccine candidates were developed during the pandemic, visited and spoke with scientists and doctors, people of great feeling and enthusiasm to build protections for people against a disease such as COVID-19, not the first disease that's hit the island, and not the first vaccine candidates that the Cuban scientists have developed. And of course, every time you talk to anybody in Cuba, they will bring up the blockade. I talked to a woman just 2 days ago. She had high blood pressure, can't get enough medicines, not because Cuba imports the medicines, but Cuba imports the raw materials to make the medicines. And that cruel blockade, which the United States has maintained for 6 decades, the United States, as both Greg and Rupa have said, and as many people have written about, has a ruthless healthcare system, ruthless against its own people, brutal in terms of putting money before health, a brutal system of oppressing young people when it comes to their talents, dance, music, sport, everything is commodified, enormous pressures, and so on. Well, the United States, with this ruthless, wretched internal system, is trying to strangle Cuba. Why? Because the Cubans have decided to adopt a different path, a path of socialism. Well, during the last trip I was there with Manolo, you'll be happy to know, Edgar, we visited the Zapata swamp area where the Bay of Pigs exists, and in the Zapata swamp area before the revolution, child mortality was 59 to 1,000. I visited a clinic where there was a doctor, Dr. Diamis Gomez La Rosa, young woman. We visited with her. She lives above the clinic. She knows all the 1,000 people in the locality that she serves. She knows everybody. And she told me that the last infant to die under her care was in 2008. She spoke with great feeling about that one infant who died, had a hard time breathing in 2008. She remembered the name of that infant. They have 0 infants dying in this area, which used to have 59 to 1,000. 0 infants dying. That is what community medicine does. She knows everybody. Anybody can walk into a clinic, and I saw this happening right before me, and I've seen it in other parts of Cuba, in Santa Clara, in Havana, and so on. People just walk into the clinic and say, doc, I have this problem. Can you take a look? And, like in all civilizations and societies, probably 50% of them are hypochondriacs, so people who have gone online to self-diagnose and have diagnosed completely inappropriately. No, that's not cancer. That's just a scab because you scratched yourself last week. That kind of thing. But nonetheless, people can go in and they can see doctors, and they have the benefit of community medicine. What the world needs to recognize is that the United States is trying to strangle Cuba. Cuba is refusing to be strangled. They've developed a form of human life under immense difficult odds, with great difficulties. They've developed a form of human life. We need to learn from it, to learn what it means to have a doctor in every neighborhood, to learn what it means to educate people about rationality so they don't have vaccine paranoia, to teach them what it means to have sports, health, dance, music, all for the betterment of humanity and not for the enrichment of a few corporations that make money off our children. So there it is, Rob. You describe capitalism. Here's a little nugget from socialism.